What's up guys, it's your boy Jabberboy188 here, and today I'm going to be doing a review for the Australian Grand Prix. I saw it in full and whatnot, so there weren't no misses and whatnot. Yep, so yeah folks, if you haven't seen the Australian Grand Prix and you're going to watch on reruns, don't watch this video, alright? Just as soon as I say that, click off the video, alright? I'm going to give you 5 seconds to do that, alright? Okay, lovely. Alright, so, the Australian Grand Prix, new cars, new technologies, to get the heads around, and new driver lineups. And there were a lot of big surprises that we expected from testing, and that was Red Bull's performance out. Like I said in the season preview, they were struggling. They had a lot of breakdowns. So as soon as they came to Australia, oh my god, have Red Bull changed a lot. They changed in a big way, and they got a lot of laps done. In qualifying, Ricciardo finished qualified second, which is great in the rain. Beautiful result for him, yeah. Because for him there. Australian guy in his hometown there, so not a bad way to debut for Red Bull, and not a bad way to race in his hometown there. So yeah, but yeah, let's get straight on to qualifying. I know I talked a little bit about that, but yeah, that's the only little bit I'm going to talk about. But yeah, I'm not going to do practice because I didn't think it was that big of a deal. So yeah, let's get on to qualifying. So qualifying, the first session of these V6 cars, everyone got out cleanly. A lot of laps been done, and the Lotuses in Q1 were terrible. The Lotus in Q1 were terrible. They just kept on all the time spinning out, going into the wall, and that happened in practice as well. So Lotus really struggling, and are struggling to find a solution to their performance problems, let alone their reliability problems. It's a difficult time to them. But yeah, so they were eliminated. So were the two Mauritius, and so was a Caterham. But nonetheless, because of those two Lotuses going out, the Caterham of Kumui Kobayashi got into Q2. Good result from him there, especially on his Caterham debut this year. Hasn't been racing since 2012, so to come back and perform something like that is impressive. And then into Q2, the rain started pouring down, and that's when we got some interesting that's where we got some interesting things happening there. Particularly Kimi Räikkönen at the end of Q2. He spun coming out of turn 3, and that was it for him. He would start 12th place on the grid, and which potentially made it 11th because of the grid penalties by Bottas and Gutierrez. And yeah, and then after that, big drama, and that was Sebastian Vettel was out of Q2, and the roar of the crowd, because these V6s being so quiet, you could hear the crowd so much better than you would do with the V8s. So as soon as that happened, it's really sad to really, to find that people are just cheering whenever Vettel does something wrong, or boos him whenever he loses, because at the end of the day, he's just like all of us. He is a good racer. I've seen him race good, and I know he can race well. We've seen that. Abu Dhabi, Italy. He pulled an amazing move on Alonso in Italy in 2011. So I think it's just unlucky that Vettel got caught in that Schumacher sort of thing. Schumacher had. And I think Vettel Vettel sort of caught up in this sort of Schumacher winning all the races, sort of getting booed, sort of thing like that. And I think that's just stupid, to be honest, because honestly, dude, it's his talent. Part of the car's success is his talent. He is a phenomenal racer and can pull great overtakes when the time is right. So, I think people should give him a chance, and he should do magical things. So, yeah, and if he does win this title this year, I will be massively pleased for him, because he deserves it if he does, because yeah, look at the start. He had an awful start to the year, been a second slow in practice, and now up Q2, so not a nice way. I know it sucks, but you just got to deal with it anyway. So yeah, Button was out as well. Disappointment for him. Could have done much better during qualifying, but that was the way it went. And and then into Q3, then it got a bit more interesting. Bottas went a little bit quicker, but at the dying moment, Rosberg was fastest, but it all changed with Daniel Ricciardo. Like I said, he went fastest, but only for a couple of seconds, because Lewis Hamilton stormed onto pole position. It was a great lap by him, really pulled it off, hit his marks beautifully, and great pole. And and really a lot of people would say one to watch, but in the race that all changed, but I'll go on to that a little later. So at the start of the race, we had Grosjean having to start in the pit lane, and he also got a drive-through penalty for coming out of the pits too early, which therefore gave him a penalty, and that was just because, you know, if you come out of the pits too early, you know, you've got to block the whole field that are trying to get onto the grid there. So that happened, and then at the start, Max Chilton and Jules Bianchi had a bit of problems, and they would have to start in the pit lane, which was unfortunate for them, especially for Max Chilton beating his teammate there. Just real unluckiness, but that's just racing, and at the end of the day, this is the first race of the V6s, so yeah, I think they've just got to deal with it. And so at the start of the race, it was a good start. Hamilton had a lot of wheel spin. He bogged down, allowing Nico Rosberg to take the lead of the race. Then Ricciardo passed Hamilton, which dropped Hamilton down to third. And then, as the start was going on, Kevin Magnussen had a huge wheel spin, almost putting him into the wall there. But then, as soon as they went into turn 1, Kamui Kobayashi, he went into Massa, and after that, Massa got a little bit frustrated. Oh, he's like, you know, he's driving dangerously, you know, he's driving like gross and whatnot. Dude, come on. It could have been the car's fault, dude. Like, and Kamui said he totally admits to it. He totally admits to his mistake, and that happens really in racing. You have those little mistakes where, you know, you lock up and whatnot, and you run to the back. It's just part of racing, and I think Massa's just gotta, you know, calm down and just realise that, you know, that's just racing at the end of the day. So, so then later on we saw a lot of battles, a lot of overtakes, particularly with Bottas getting right into the thick of it, closing down, and especially Hulkenberg as well. Hulkenberg went up to 4th for most of the race, which is great for him and great for Force India, because you know, but I didn't think it was great as it was like last year. I mean, last year Force India led the race with City and whatnot, so I don't think it was great, but it was alright anyway. So it was alright position that they were in, and I mean, just to keep it up, just keep it consistent and whatnot, great. And and then because of that, Fernando Alonso started closing in on Nico Hulkenberg, and starting putting pressure on him, and then that allowed Jensen to close up, and then after that, Jean-Eric Verne, and then Alonso's teammate Kimi Raikkonen during the race had a torrid time. Look it up pretty much every single time, to be honest. And because of that allowed a lot of cars to get by him, which dropped him into a huge hole. I think he dropped him down to like 8th or 9th, I'm not quite sure. I wasn't really focusing on him, to be honest. So, disappointing times for Raikkonen. It's just, at the end of the day, it's just the first race for V6s. You know, there's going to be a lot of, like, trying to get to grips with it, trying to learn it, trying to, adapt to it. So, it's just, and so, yeah, I think Raikkonen's whole problems trying to get to adapt to V6s and whatnot should be okay come like probably, I don't know, Spain, Monaco, something like that. So, yeah, just first races for V6s. So, later on, also, Hamilton was out of the race here. The team reported that it was a misfire. It was a misfire to the cylinders, to the 6 cylinders, and basically one of the cylinders went, which means that Hamilton was running on 5 cylinders rather than the 6, which is the max. And then after that, Vettel was out. The championship, the reigning world champion, was out of the race. He reported that it was a KERS problem on his Red Bull there, and during like the first couple of laps, he was complaining about it, saying like, "Oh, it's terrible, it's getting worse, and then he started saying that he's getting a bit better. But then at the time, as he was saying that, he retired from the race. It could have been just it could have been like early on during the lap there. But yeah, unluckiness for Hamilton and Vettel. Not a nice way to start their 2014 campaign this year. But hopefully they'll bounce back in Malaysia, and hopefully Hamilton will come back to Malaysia with a win under his belt. And yeah, so 2 of the big dogs out of the race. Vettel, kind of the big dog there. Later on the race, Valtteri Bottas hit that wall, and also there was another car, Vettel, hit the wall as well there, but he received no damage. But, like I said, Bottas hit the wall, and he got a hell of a lot of damage. It broke the rim of his, it broke some parts of the rim of his car, and also the tyre rubber on his car as well, causing him to have sort of like a puncture feeling, and causing him to pit and drop to, I think, about 13th. Which then later on he sailed up to an impressive, oh my god, I think it was a 7th, to be honest, but I'm not quite sure. I wasn't really focusing on Bottas, I wasn't really focusing on Bottas. I was focusing really on the front guys. That's usually the places that I remember, in the races are usually the top 5. Defo the top 5. So, really sorry about that. It could have been a 7th. So, yeah. We saw a lot of battles as well. Toro Rosso's battling each other in the last couple of laps. And then, the first safety car came out for the Bottas incident. And then, Button pitted in the safety car period, got a new set of tyres, and was able to jump up to 6, and good little jump there, good little sort of good communication there from the team to get Button in at the right time to make Button jump a couple of spots, which is good for him. And then later on, Button Button pitted early, and his front wing, his like little tiny I don't know what it's called, but yeah, the front sort of thing like that, part of it fell off, and I was expecting that thing to be suffering quite a lot of I was expecting that thing to suffer a lot of lack of downforce, but it didn't. It surprisingly didn't, and he was able to push hard, and he was able to get ahead of Nico Hülkenberg and Fernando Alonso. But Fernando Alonso got ahead of Nico Hülkenberg, who Alonso was stuck behind Hülkenberg for a lot of the race during the race. So that was good news for Alonso, and Alonso therefore, but sadly could not make any progress or any dent into the two McLarens. The McLaren was in the McLaren of Kevin Magnussen was in third, and Jensen was in fourth, and Kevin pushed, and he tried to close down on Ricciardo, which he did really well. The problem is he couldn't get even closer because that Red Bull was responding to the pace of Kevin Magnussen, and it was really tricky for him to do that. And that was the reason why Ricciardo was sort of pulling away a little bit, and then Kevin closed him down and pulled away and whatnot. So real disappointment for Kevin. It's just the way it is, you know. It's just the way it is, you know. To be honest, you know, the Red Bull, a little bit superior than the McLaren in terms of race pace and whatnot. When it's in light, I don't know. I think it was good in race pace throughout the whole race, to be honest. And Button was closing down on Kevin as well, but couldn't really make a dent into it, sadly. So he had to end up finishing fourth. Oh, and another thing, the two Lotuses were out of the race, which was disappointing. And then Marcus Ericsson was out as well, disappointing for him and for those three. You know, just reliability problems for them. It happens. It's racing, and they've just got to deal with it anyway. It's the first race for the V6s, and the Lotuses have been suffering from reliability issues. So it's not a big surprise that they were out. That both their cars were out. I mean, of the race, and Marcus Ericsson, unlucky for him, just got called out by reliability issues there. In the end of the a really exciting Australian Grand Prix in a while, probably since 2012. Nico Rosberg came home to win the Australian Grand Prix for the first time. Great result for Rosberg. Thoroughly deserved it. He drove a great race. Pulled out a comfortable lead from start to finish, and was able to pick up the win. Ricciardo finished a impressive second. Great result, especially on his home track in Australia. Thoroughly deserves it. He drove a remarkable race, and he thoroughly deserves the second place. And Kevin Magnussen, the first Dane to win. The first Dane. Oh my god. The first race. Oh. Sorry. The first Dane to get a podium ever in Formula 1 was just great. Kevin deserved it. He drove a really good race, tried to get to second place, but ultimately he couldn't because of the pace of that Red Bull of Ricciardo. So, yeah, great race all round, and that's it. So, thank you very much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please give a like, and also subscribe if you aren't subscribed. And yeah, folks, it's your boy Jabberboy18. I'm out. Peace.